morning, good people. Welcome back to A Moment on Mondays with your girl, your sister. I'm your friend and personal growth coach, Stephanie R. Strong. And this morning, I like to speak to you about torn between two lovers. Before I get into that, remember last week I shared with you that I would be covering limiting beliefs throughout 2017? And I am, because we really have to get down to the reason why you have been experiencing certain barriers that keep you from walking in purpose and attaining some of your goals and just living out your ideal. So we're definitely going to be covering limiting beliefs. But before we get to that, let me share a little bit with you about Torn Between Two Lovers. Now listen, Torn Between Two Lovers, for those of you who are too young to remember, was a song written back in 1976, but it was made popular by Mary McGregor. And it was a song about a woman who was in a love triangle quandary. And she was lamenting the fidelity she would have toward two different people, two different men. Now, I know you're not in that kind of love triangle. I hope you're not. But I dare say that you and I have been in a love triangle most of our lives. I dare say all of our lives. And let me explain to you who's in this love triangle. You've got the ego self, you've got the true self, and you've got the actualized self. And the ego self is very stealthy and is trying to vie for your fidelity. And the actualized self is also trying to vie for your fidelity, but the actualized self is birthed from your true self. Now, if this sounds kind of a little confusing, just know that there are three components. There's the true self, the ego self, and your actualized self. And each one of them wants to take prominence in your life. Now, in order for us to get to limiting beliefs, we have to understand the dynamics of what's going on in this love triangle between the ego self, the true self, and the actualized self. And that means that we have to look at how your beliefs are shaped. And so I had to give you the condensed version because there's no way I could really get into this because it really is complex, but it's simple enough for you and me to get it. Okay. So let me just explain it this way. From the time you came into this world, from the time you were born, you begin to learn how to get what you want. And let me tell you how you did it. You did it through crying. And if crying wasn't good enough, you did it through screaming. And whether it was something you needed, whether it was something you wanted, or whether you were uncomfortable, you learned that if you cried long enough and screamed long enough, somebody was going to come to your rescue. Somebody was going to come to your rescue and make it all better for you. And at least take you out of your discomfort at the very least. So you begin to learn, this is how we do it in my world. If I cry and scream, guess what? I get what I want. So you begin to learn that, hey, this is how it works in the world. And you begin to form, even though then as a baby, you don't have any idea that you're learning, but you are learning. You are learning, and soon as you begin to develop and go through your toddler age and you went through your early childhood development and on to adolescence and teenage years and high school and early adult life, you started learning how the world looks and how the world shapes. And because you learned how the world looks and how the world shapes from where you are, you established some beliefs. And from those beliefs, you develop some attitudes. And from those attitudes, you developed and established some habits. And those habits turned into habitual thinking and habitual behaviors. It's true, y'all. I kid you not. So one of the ways that we start looking at limiting beliefs, we must look at where did these beliefs come from in the very beginning, in the first place. So for you to be able to start really doing a good assessment, a fair and honest assessment of how your beliefs are shaped, I want to give you an exercise. So your assignment for this week is to go back as far as you can from the very first time you learned about being unhappy. What were the circumstances around your being unhappy? What was the first time you were mad or something just didn't go your way and you were conscious of it? What happened? Was it something that you wanted that you didn't get? Was it something you had and somebody took it away? Was it something you expected and that expectation wasn't fulfilled? What was it? So I want you to write that down. And just in case this gets a little emotional for you and you need to talk to someone, feel free to inbox me. Feel free to email me. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm out there. So you have access to me, and I want you to not have to go through anything really, really emotional by yourself, but I'm here to listen. So, I definitely want you to do this exercise. So make sure you go back as far as you can, and I want you to pinpoint the first time you discovered I'm unhappy and what surrounded that unhappiness. And we'll talk about it later in a subsequent video. So make sure that you make this an enjoyable experience. It didn't have to be a sad experience. Let it be an experience of discovery, okay? Well, that's all that I have for you today. I look forward to seeing you on next Monday. Make sure you check me out at presencewithpurpose.net, and don't forget to pick up a copy of my book, When Tulips Bloom, a personal guide for blossoming through the difficult seasons of life. Make sure you get on that journey so that you are not torn between two lovers. I will see you on next Monday, but until then, make this your best day ever.